The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are designed to outlast and outlive, backed by Toyota's legendary reputation for reliability. So get in a Tundra with the available iForce Max hybrid engine, delivering exceptional torque and towing capacity. Or check out a Tacoma. With available off-road features like crawl control, it can take you beyond the trails. Toyota trucks are built to last. So don't wait. Get yours today. Visit buyatoyota.com for deals and more. Toyota, let's go places.
Do you have a dark curiosity? Heart Starts Pounding, Horrors, Hauntings, and Mysteries is a weekly podcast hosted by me, Kaylin Moore. Check out Heart Starts Pounding on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you heard about Tuck? The name rang a very somber bell. Ron recalled that his late wife told him that their child, Josh, had developed a friendship with an imaginary friend named Tuck. The only thing Ron knew about Tuck up until that moment was that he was a clown who seemed to appear repeatedly in his son's drawings. The structure of each drawing seemed to be the same. The majority of the frame was a sunny, happy, colorful picture. Stick figures smiling outside with green lawns and yellow suns. Sometimes they were swimming in blue oceans. Other times they were dancing on orange pumpkins. But off to the side, in the corner, every time, was Tuck, with black clouds hovering around his skin. Yes, Ron said. He told her that he had heard about Tuck. In fact, it was the last conversation he ever had with his wife. They were lying in bed together, talking about Tuck. Ron was looking at the drawing that Josh had made. His wife, Abby, was worried. Ron was not. He explained to her that Josh had a vivid imagination, just like he did when he was Josh's age, and now he had used that upbringing of imagination into a successful career in animation. If anything, Ron had thought Tuck was a blessing in disguise, proof that his son was like his father, full of wonder. Tuck is Josh's imaginary friend. Ron's friend Heather nodded. But there was something behind Heather's eyes that felt concerning. Ron noticed it, her concern jumping from her bones into his. Heather leaned forward a bit. Her voice dipped in decibels. The coffee shop was fairly crowded. Nobody nearby could have heard this conversation. Yet, she seemed determined to ensure their words remained private. Finally, she asked Ron, "Why do you think Josh created this imaginary friend?" Ron shook his head, shrugged. "'Cause that's what kids do," he said, "when they're lonely. It's common, isn't it?" Ron sipped his coffee. The last thing he needed in this moment was more caffeine. He was already shaking, anxious. But he sipped anyway because it helped him concentrate and to appear more put together. Even though in this moment he was made of glass. "It is," Heather assured him. "I hate to ask this, Ron. You know how much I hate to ask. But that night, when Abby..." Ron shuffled his feet and briefly closed his eyes, rubbing his hands together. These minor physical quirks had become his companion blanket any time he needed to temporarily escape the mental anguish of remembering this moment. This dark moment that would follow him for the rest of his life. A life that felt half-filled ever since his wife left him. "Yes?" Ron said, as if to allow Heather permission to continue. Quickly, pleadingly, to proceed. Don't let these questions linger, was his hope. So she did. "Do you know why Tuck told him not to watch? When she..." Ron seemed to straighten up. His anguish became overshadowed by his intrigue. "No, that's not..." "She told him not to watch. She. Abby. She didn't want him to see her." Heather sat back. Her growing concern was feeding his anxiety. "Huh," she said. "What?" Ron asked. Josh said he told him not to watch. He. Ron slid his chair closer. His chest was now bumping into the table. This confusion was giving way to rage, which actually helped him feel somewhat less anxious. He pressed her. He who? Tuck, the imaginary clown? Heather nodded. Yes, Tuck told him not to watch. Ron brushed his hair from side to side. Less of a self-conscious move and more of an attempt to push down the boiling anger that was simmering at the surface. He didn't expect to get answers, but the last thing he wanted was more questions. The rest of his life was going to be a question. Why did his seemingly happy wife hang herself in their son's bedroom? That was the only question he wanted to figure out, and now this supposed child therapist, a classification that was now in his mind surrounded by air quotes, was telling him that an imaginary friend was somehow implicated in his late wife's death. That clearly means nothing, Heather. Before Heather could continue, Ron persisted. To be frank, I'm a little confused as to why you would zero in on that, as if it's meaningful. At all. Of all the things to discuss, that is what you choose? You have a degree in child psychology, right? Heather softly put her hands up just above her stomach as if to surrender. Ron, I know this is hard for you. I just want to communicate what Josh said. I don't want anything to be left behind. Ron stood up, holding his coffee. I appreciate your help, Heather. I think I should have Josh see someone else, just for a second opinion. You understand, right? Heather stood up too. I understand. Of course, I really didn't mean to upset you. Perhaps we can check back in after you've had a second opinion? Ron was already shuffling towards the door when he told her, Sure, let's do that. Thank you, Heather. Ron couldn't even finish the end of whatever pleasing sentiment he meant to say. He just walked towards the entrance, dropped his coffee into a trash can, and walked outside, back to the reality of his waking nightmare. It was time for Grandma to go. Grandma didn't want to go, but Ron thought it was time. She moved in right after Abby passed away, and now, 3 months later, it was time to go back to her own home. At least in Ron's mind. They debated, going back and forth for over 3 hours about whether or not now is the time for the house to have a population of just 2. There were pros and cons to both sides. The big pro, as illustrated by Grandma, was that Josh seemed to love having her around, and she filled in admirably for the absence of Abby. The big con, as illustrated by Ron, was that Josh was going to have to accept the fact that his mother was no longer around, which could only occur when it was just the 2 of them, alone in the house. Grandma understood. As much as it pained her to leave her grandson and her son in that house, she knew that he was in fact right. Josh cried, a lot. Even Ron shed some tears, as most fathers do when they see their only child cry. They said their goodbyes late at night, right before his bedtime, to make her departure a less bitter pill to swallow. Ron could hardly sleep that night. As much as her leaving was for his own son's recognition of their new reality, so too did it apply to him. He could not lean on his mother to help with dinners, homework, and errands forever. Now he would truly be on his own. As confident as he tried to make himself feel, the burden of being a solo parent was a concept so foreign to him that he couldn't even picture it. He had been preparing for this moment for months, the precise moment when his house would begin to feel hollow, and a cold air would flow through the walls. He felt it that night. Every second of his slumber felt steeped in despair. He dreaded the thought of waking up, because that is when this new chapter in his life would begin. pancakes helped. Pancakes made by Dad. Dad made the best pancakes. Sadly, this had been a rare treat, seeing how Ron had been working extra long hours lately to keep himself focused and bring in some extra income now that Abby was no longer in the picture. Pancakes had generally been a weekend treat, but weekends had been busy for Josh as well, traveling to different doctors, all in the hopes of helping him process his loss. Until Ron realized that the first step was for father and son to accept the loss of Abby together. Step one, at least in Ron's mind, was pancakes. Blueberry, to be exact. Josh drenched them in syrup. Ron followed suit. It was a feast to behold in its sugar glory, a tall bar to climb over as a means to start the day. Ron had a full agenda to match their breakfast prowess. Next up was a trip to the park for a long overdue snowman construction. It had snowed heavily 3 days prior, and the snow seemed intent on sticking around for at least another day or two. Ron came with reinforcements: carrot for the nose, plums for the eyes, even a very old scarf that he had found in the attic that their newfound frosty friend could display. Hot chocolate, snow angels, firing snowballs into a makeshift strike zone on a nearby tree. Ron left no Saturday afternoon activity unturned for this long overdue quality father-son time. The park was pretty packed with other families. Josh had spent many of his afternoons at home with his grandmother recently, opting for her company as opposed to the company of his classmates. Josh didn't have many friends to begin with. After the tragedy of Abby, other parents made a real, concerted effort to get their kids to hang out with Josh more. But he seemed ambivalent. As much as everyone tried, he just wanted to be with his family. Today, in the park, was the first time Ron could remember him playing with children his own age in quite some time. It nearly brought a tear to his eyes, already watering from the cold breeze. Zach was the closest thing Josh had to a friend. His father, Greg, had become friendly with Ron, as fathers of classmates tend to become. Luckily, Zach was there too, and after about an hour, they naturally migrated towards each other. Josh offered Zach some hot chocolate, which quickly led to more snowmen, more snow angels, more fastballs into the tree, and even, eureka, plans for a sleepover. Ron was more excited than his own child. Greg could not have been happier to put the plans in place. The neighboring parents had been fiending for a chance to be helpful, in whatever way possible. This was a genuine opportunity to maybe put some pieces back together, and so a sleepover was arranged for that very night, at Ron's house. Greg offered the services of his teenage daughter to be babysitter. At first, Ron resisted. His first night without Grandma, and now he would be going out too? He had their Saturday night planned out as well. Pizza and a movie, a proven combination as old as time itself. Greg didn't mean to be pushy, but then he recited some of the recent children that his daughter had babysat, which was a murderer's row of somewhat, let's call them, rambunctious kids. Ron was impressed. If she could handle those kids, she could definitely handle Josh and Zach for a couple hours. Just long enough for him to go see a movie. Or maybe grab a beer with Vince. Vince had been a regular at their household. Every Sunday he would come over to watch football, eat chicken wings from Vince's own self-acclaimed famous recipes, followed by teaching Josh how to throw a spiral football. He had become somewhat of an uncle for Josh. Ron had no siblings, so Vince was the closest thing Josh could get. It also allowed Grandma to take somewhat of a break. Sundays were her days of rest. Let the boys be boys, and she could put her feet up and read for a little while. Every Sunday, Ron would thank Vince for hanging out, and then tell him that he shouldn't feel obligated to be there. Vince had his own life, and as much as Ron appreciated Vince's help, Ron did not want to feel like a burden. Vince would respond the same way every time, by telling Ron he loved him and to go grab another beer. Saturday at the park was the best that Ron had felt in quite some time. Ditto for Josh. The hours they spent there amidst a sea of other happy families was an escape. Deep down, they knew that the pain would always be waiting for them. but just knowing that this was possible. This feeling of joy was enough to make Ron bristle with optimism. Maybe there was life after Appy's death. "I'm already there. It's called karma, kiddo. I'll save a seat for you." That was Vince's reaction when Ron asked him if he wanted to grab a beer at Stony Creek, their favorite bar. Ron could hear the TV playing in the background. Meeting Vince for a beer at a bar without Abby? He had to go back 20 years for the last time the planets aligned in this way. He was nervous. Leaving Josh with a babysitter meant he would be without a family member. How would he respond? Ron tried to ask if he would be okay with that, and all Josh could do was ask if they could still get pizza for dinner when Zach came over. Ron smiled and said of course. The babysitter knew the family backstory. Everyone in town knew the family backstory. Her name was Becky. She was 14, which was ancient in the eyes of Josh and Zach. Ancient enough to restore order in case her younger brother got out of line, which didn't seem too likely considering how well Ron knew him and his family. Sometimes a parent will feel obligated to be friends with a classmate's parents. Other times they'll be excited. This was in the latter camp. Greg and his wife, Lucy, had become acquainted with Ron and Abby after they had all volunteered to run the school book fair one year. They became fast friends, especially since Greg and Lucy were new to town. Ron and Abby invited them over for dinner multiple times. Even though Josh remained somewhat solitary, he seemed to be more open with Zach, and the families formed a sweet bond. They would consistently remark how fast their kids were growing. They would blink and they'd be in college was a running joke, which became less funny each time it became more likely. Ron had a quick chat with Becky about the house, about Josh. He had never paid a babysitter before. It had always been Grandma who watched their kid. He wasn't apprehensive towards Becky. He was apprehensive towards himself. Had he earned this night out, even briefly? He told Becky he would be back by 10. It was now 6, and bedtime was 9. So Becky's window of supervision was only 3 hours. Ron even gave Becky the phone number to Stony Creek in case of emergencies. "Have fun, Mr. Roswell." Those were Becky's parting words. Ron smiled, told Josh and Zach to behave, and then got into his car and drove off, alone. Peace Frog was playing as Ron walked in. He knew instantly that Vince had been the orchestrator of this selection. The Doors were one of his favorite bands, and Peace Frog was one of his favorite songs. Ron made a beeline right for the jukebox, where Vince was currently initiating conversation with a blonde wearing a too-tight red sweater and black boots. Ron was used to this circumstance, debating how and when to interrupt a conversation between Vince and a blonde. He got about 5 feet from the jukebox and then sidestepped over towards the bar. "Ronnie!" Ron turned. Behind the bar was Brett, the bartender, with a wide smile extending his hand out towards Ron, who shook and smiled. "Hey, Brett, how are you? What'll it be, Palomino?" Ron took a beat. He ordered an Anchor. Anchor Steam, that is. His beer of choice back in a time when one of his choices for fun was beer. He felt a warm hand on his shoulder, followed by a pat on the back. Vince took a seat next to Ron and let his smile ease Ron into these surroundings, which had become somewhat foreign over the past 10 years. "Good to see you, buddy," Vince said. Ron nodded and then motioned over toward the blonde. "How's it going with your new friend?" "She's a real go-getter, Ronnie. Between waitressing and college, she's really trying to make it happen, my man. You could use a little of her work ethic." Vince winked as he sipped his beer. The first couple of sips of Ron's beer were as sweet as pie. He could feel every bone in his body slide down into a cocoon of relaxation. But the first moment he looked down at his glass and saw that it was half empty, a wave of guilt washed through his cocoon and soured the whole mood. He couldn't help feel bad for leaving Josh tonight. He wasn't alone, sure. He had a friend and a babysitter whom he trusted, but alcohol was having the opposite of its intended effect. Vince could tell his buddy was tensing up, and rather than push for him to stay, he asked if the gang wanted something new for the food menu tomorrow, which was Football Sunday. Ron said that Josh loved everything Vince brought to the house, so he couldn't lose. Until he quickly corrected himself and said, anything but pizza. Josh is having pizza tonight. That's great, Vince told him. The kid is being a kid. Ron nodded and then waved his hand to settle up. He had not been there longer than half an hour, and already he was asking for the bill. Vince took his hand down and told him he had already made arrangements to have Ron's bill taken care of. They gave each other a big hug, and then Ron was out the door, almost as fast as he had walked inside.
RingCentral will completely transform the way you work. It gives you built-in AI across all your business conversations. Your phone system has an AI receptionist that answers calls 24/7. Your video meetings have AI that takes notes instantly. Even your contact center has AI, so you can help customers faster. It all comes together in one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
Want more 48 Hours? 4 days a week, the 48 Hours podcast is bringing one of TV's most popular true crime series straight to your ears. Listen for original reporting and exclusive insights from the correspondents and producers covering each case. Plus, enjoy classic episodes of 48 Hours from the vault. Follow and listen to 48 Hours on the free Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Ron saw that it was barely 7:30, and he didn't want to kill the mood fully of coming back too early. So he figured he would kill some time by stopping at a local Carvel to pick up a couple of sundaes. He walked inside through the front door and let out a welcoming, "Hello, hello." Becky quickly turned around and stood up from the living room couch. Ron could tell something was wrong by the look on her face. "Hi, Mr. Roswell." "Hey, Bex, how's it going?" "It started fine," she said. But then Zach got scared and he called his parents. Scared? Ron was crushed. He knew that in a matter of moments he would have to go see Josh, ask Josh what happened, and listen as Josh explained while crying why his first sleepover in forever had ended prematurely. Becky explained that they were upstairs in Josh's room, playing with some toys. By her recollection, they couldn't have been alone for more than 10 minutes. She heard a scream, ran up to the room, and found Zach crying. She asked what happened, and all Zach could do was say he wanted to go home. She called her house to have someone come and pick up Zach. Then, when she asked Josh what had happened, all Josh could say was, "Tuck." Ron's head dangled off his back as if he was trying to chew his spine and let out the world's biggest sigh. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Roswell." Becky was pale with shame. "I know you had been looking forward to having a night out." Ron was waving off her apology. "No, Becky, please. You have nothing to apologize about. This isn't your fault. Why don't you go home? It's fine." Ron began taking money out of his wallet. "But I wasn't here the full night. This is too much money, Mr. Roswell." Ron cut Becky off and told her that she had earned the full pay. Then he asked her to tell her father, Greg, that he was sorry for him having to come pick up Zach. "My mother was the one who picked up Zach," she corrected him. "Well, tell Lucy I'm sorry, and give my best to both of your parents, please." He offered Becky a ride home, but she told her that she had her bike, and it was less than a 10-minute ride. Ron told her to be careful because of the ice, and then sent her on her way. Now he had to go to Josh and ask him about this guy, Tuck, who seems to be a real thorn in his craw. "Hey, buddy. I heard Zach got scared?" Josh was in the corner of his room, playing with his G.I. Joes, making the appropriate sound effects anytime someone got punched or kicked. Ron sat at the edge of Josh's bed, waiting for a response. He was probably just not used to being away from home. That happens a lot. You shouldn't feel bad about it, okay? Ron heard a sniffle. There's nothing more heartbreaking than why your child sniffles. The idea that they want to cry, but they're holding it in is more painful than the actual cry. The resolve to try and be tough so as not to hurt your feelings? brutal. Do you want to talk about it, Josh? Josh shook his head no. The action amongst the G.I. Joes was now going at half speed. I brought back some sundaes from Carvel. They're not going to eat themselves. What do you say? Why won't Tuck leave me alone? Ron took another deep sigh. 'Cause he's a jerk, buddy. If I ever meet this Tuck, I'm going to knock his head off. Josh finally turned around. His eyes were red as apples, cheeks damp as he wiped some tears. Daddy, you can't. Can't what, buddy? Josh stood up and walked over to Ron, who gave him a big hug. Ron stood up after a moment and then picked Josh up in his arms so he could walk him down towards the living room where movies, ice cream, and hopefully some joy were waiting for both of them. The film of choice was Ghostbusters. Bonafide smiles were in abundance while watching this classic of cinema. Nearly every line that either Bill Murray or Harold Ramis said got a chuckle in the room. Josh's giggle was infectious. He passed out with about 20 minutes left, at which point Ron picked him up and carried him back to his room. He wiped some chocolate off his lips and then tucked him under the covers. He thought about just passing out on the floor next to Josh's bed, but his back had been hurting, most likely due to stress, as told to him by everyone who saw him stand up out of his work chair recently. So he walked down the hall towards his room and passed out face first. He was exhausted, as if the past 3 months had been one long decathlon, waiting for the moment when life would officially continue. This was that moment. Tomorrow, Ron and Josh would wake up and keep on living. Without Abby.
RingCentral's AI receptionist uses voice AI to answer on the first ring, so you'll never miss a call again. In just a few minutes, you can personalize your own AI receptionist to answer questions, route calls, schedule appointments, and even send texts in multiple languages. Plus, it's easy to scale. Create unlimited AI receptionists across any phone system. It's all powered by one reliable platform for effortless AI communications. See for yourself at ringcentral.com. RingCentral, voice of your business.
There's policemen at our door. Can I have pancakes? Ron checked his bedside clock, 9:10. He had slept for nearly 10 hours. The last time he had slept that long was before Josh was born. He was barely awake and assumed this must be a dream. The police? He muttered towards Josh, who was standing in Ron's doorway. Josh just nodded as he stood there in his Ghostbuster pajamas. Ron sat up and rubbed his eyes just before getting up, throwing on the nearest sweatshirt and heading down to his front door. Standing there were Detectives Ewing and Woodson, the same detectives whom Ron spoke to the police station when he voluntarily agreed to give his full statement after Abby had killed herself. Ron's left eye was still coming into focus as he greeted them. Hey, guys, what's wrong? Detective Ewing took the lead, as he had in their previous interaction, while Detective Woodson hung back, listening. Hey, Ron, can we talk to you for a minute? Yeah, Ron said. Of course. Is this about Abby? Ron didn't even know what his own question meant. Had there been some new development in his wife's suicide? He didn't even know that was a possibility. It's about Lucy, Detective Ewing said. Lucy? Lucy Houston? What's wrong? She okay? Ewing took a beat, and then he told him. Lucy Houston committed suicide last night. Ron froze. He could see the obituary already. Lucy Houston, mother of Zach and Becky, wife of Greg, beloved person in the community, just like Abby. They were quite similar, which is why they got along so well. People had commented on more than one occasion how they must have been long-lost sisters, which always made them laugh. And now she was gone? Are you sure? Ron knew his question didn't make sense, but it was the only thing he could think to ask. Ewing kept speaking. Was Lucy here last night? Ron's eyes were now occasionally flickering, as if his body was running low on battery, signaling to recharge soon or else. Yeah, she picked up Zach. You know, Zach, she picked... I just don't understand. She seemed so happy. I would have never... would you have ever... They said the same thing about Abby. Ewing took off his sunglasses and stuffed them into his front jacket pocket. Why don't we go speak down at the station, Ronnie? Ron looked up. There was only one question that seemed relevant right now. Did she hang herself, like Abby did? Ewing put a hand on Ron's shoulder and said, "Let's go speak at the station, Ron. Just tell me, guys, did she do it how Abby did it? Did she hang herself like Abby?" Ewing just nodded. Ron slid against his front door down to the cold top step, hands draped over his mouth, in horror. He closed his eyes, lightly shaking his head back and forth. This can't be real. The words slid out of Ron's mouth like acid, searing his lips as they hit the air. 2 women with almost identically happy lives had committed suicide in the same masochistic fashion within 3 months? Ron's waking nightmare had now evolved from tragic to a trend. Ewing bent down so he could stay eye level with Ron. "Ronnie, I know this is hard, but we need your help. So we can sort this all out. Can you come down to the station with us? Talk for a minute?" It was Tuck. They all turned. Standing behind Ron was Josh, holding his G.I. Joes. "Josh, give us a second, buddy, okay? Can you go watch TV for a minute, please?" Josh didn't leave. In fact, he took a step forward, repeating himself. It was Tuck. That's who made Zach's mom do it, just like he made my mommy do it. Ron began to stand up. "Josh, stop that. Go to your room, please." Detective Woodson took a step forward. "Hey, Josh." And then Detective Woodson bent down so he could look into Josh's eyes when he asked him, "Who is Tuck?"
Come, my friends, let's play a game. Round and round we'll spin the same. Take my hand, don't be afraid. This is how dreams are made. Forever and ever and ever, we will never be apart. Never, 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 never. Let me tuck you in tight. This is how we win, win, win tonight.
The moon is bright, it sees us all. Shadows stretch and shadows crawl.
Close your eyes and count to 3. I'll be there, just wait and see.
1 step closer,
2 steps near.
whisper softly.
Can you hear? Forever and ever and ever, we will never be apart. Never, 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 never. Let me tuck you in tight. This is how we win, win, win tonight.
The stars are blinking, crying too. They know secrets, so do you. Tick tock, don't delay.
Midnight's coming out to play. Forever and ever and ever, we will never be apart. Never, 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 never. Let me tuck you in tight. This is how we win, win, win tonight.
The Toyota Tundra and Tacoma are designed to outlast and outlive, backed by Toyota's legendary reputation for reliability. So get in a Tundra with the available iForce Max hybrid engine, delivering exceptional torque and towing capacity. Or check out a Tacoma. With available off-road features like crawl control, it can take you beyond the trails. Toyota trucks are built to last. So don't wait. Get yours today. Visit buyatoyota.com for deals and more. Toyota, let's go places.